She came to the Lone Star State for a fresh start.
She's been talking about moving to Texas her entire life.
She's looking for a new career and a place where she can really put down roots.
What she found was a chance at love.
They immediately hit it off. He sweeps her off her feet. She was really starting to get excited.
But then, she simply vanished.
She's here 1 minute and gone the next.
It gave me the goosebumps.
Nothing regarding us.
Did she leave on her own?
She's definitely always on the go.
She needed her space.
Or was there someone behind her disappearance?
Said she faked it. The dude fooled everybody.
Either way, one family is desperate for answers.
They search and search.
We had like 100+ people.
If it's your child, you're gonna hold off as long as you can.
October 10th, 2016. It's Monday night in Fort Worth, Texas, a fast-growing city of close to 1 million.
It plays second fiddle to Dallas, but Fort Worth is definitely a big, bustling city in its own right. You're gonna see the 10-gallon hats. You're gonna see the cowboy boots. It's more of a Wild West.
And while cattle drives and gunslingers may be a thing of the past, the city still has its share of crime.
You need police, fire, or ambulance.
Police.
It's a little before 11 p.m. when Rebecca Jones places a worry call to Tarrant County 911.
She says that Tiffany Johnson, her boyfriend's sister, is missing.
Like, she was downstairs, and it's been an hour.
She said that she was just going downstairs and that she should be right back up.
Rebecca tells the dispatcher that Tiffany's brother had gone down earlier to search for her.
I had noticed that Tiffany's car keys were sitting on top of the car on the driver's side.
And they find her phone in the grass.
Oh man.
She would never leave her phone laying on the ground.
You better call the cops.
This prompts them to definitely make a call because something strange has happened.
Do you think there's a possibility she might have gone for a drive or something?
No, her keys were on top of her car.
She knows that she's not going to leave with her keys on the car. It seems like something must have happened so quickly that she didn't have time to take these items with her.
You are sure she's not outside?
Yes, we checked everywhere.
All of a sudden, Tiffany was there, and the next moment she was gone.
Nothing regarding us.
Growing up in Iowa, 25-year-old Tiffany was always trying to bring out the best in people.
Tiffany is one of a kind. She has the personality to brighten up your day.
She always just wanted to help people. She'd give up anything just to make sure the next person had it.
As kids, Tiffany and her siblings were always inseparable.
We were each other's best friends, like growing up.
But her strongest bond was with her twin brother.
We were peanut butter jelly.
Those two were always close. They had a twinning feeling between them. She was always getting in trouble with Asher.
She was a tomboy, really.
She was definitely always on the go.
But as Tiffany got older, her interests began to change.
When she got into high school was when she kind of started going and doing her own thing.
She just grew out of the tomboy stage, so she became a girly girl.
She kind of got more into makeup and doing hair, and she started having boyfriends.
She was actually fairly popular.
After high school, Tiffany and her family drifted apart, and things like jobs and military service took them far from Iowa.
That was kind of difficult. I know she was having a hard time with it too, but we tried to keep in contact as much as we could.
But after a visit to her brother Asher in Texas, the twins reunited.
Honestly, she loved Texas.
I could definitely see myself living here.
She liked the view, she liked the weather there.
So she kind of just wanted to go down there to be with her twin.
You should just move here then. Stay with me until you get on your feet.
I was living in an apartment and I was struggling, and she ended up moving into my apartment and we were struggling together.
It was really hard. I didn't want her to go that far, but she really enjoyed meeting new people, so it was really good for her.
She's got all her hopes and dreams in front of her. She's looking for a new career and starting to find a place where she can really put down roots.
It didn't take long for Tiffany to seize the opportunities her new home had to offer.
She lands a job at an insurance company, and so things are really going well for Tiffany.
But as a young woman in her mid-20s, she longed for more.
She was thinking, okay, I've hit a few milestones. And at this point, one of the only things that's missing is a romantic partner.
Then she met 32-year-old Christopher Reville.
She met him out one night. Chris had a good job working with an electrician, and he was taken by Tiffany's beauty.
Maybe we could do dinner sometime.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
They immediately hit it off.
He also got along well with Tiffany's twin brother.
I'm new out here. I didn't know nobody at that time, so I was looking for friends obviously too. And just him being around so much, we started talking and getting to know each other. We'd hang out and drink a few beers, watch Monday Night Football.
Soon, Chris wasn't just hanging out at Tiffany and Asher's apartment. He lived there.
He moved in with Tiffany. They're really excited about moving forward with their new life.
She was very hopeful for a future, for marriage and a family. And she saw herself having that with Chris.
But now, Tiffany has mysteriously disappeared, leaving her keys and phone behind.
She doesn't go anywhere without her car keys. She doesn't go anywhere without her phone.
Something has gone terribly wrong.
The reason may have had something to do with what Tiffany's friend Rebecca told the 911 dispatcher.
She was last seen downstairs talking to her ex-boyfriend.
A year and a half after moving to Texas for a fresh start, it appeared that Tiffany Johnson had found true love with 32-year-old Christopher Reville.
They are making plans to start that next stage in their relationship.
Everything is going great, and she just thinks this is going to be the perfect ending and what she came to Texas for.
Tiffany!
But now, Tiffany's mysteriously disappeared from her apartment.
It's almost as if she vanished, like before their eyes. She's here one minute and gone the next. Her keys are left on top of her car.
Her cell phone is lying in the grass.
They know something terrible has happened.
But what?
You better call the cops.
When Tiffany's brother's girlfriend, Rebecca, contacts 911, she says Tiffany had been talking with her ex-boyfriend, Christopher Reville, shortly before she disappeared.
They had just broken up not that long ago.
All right, man, we'll get police out there.
When police arrive at the apartment, Tiffany's brother Asher provides additional details about her ex, Chris.
When did they break up?
About 2 months ago.
But according to Asher and Rebecca, the relationship was never contentious.
Did you ever see them argue?
No, not just like regular relationships, not like argue, no.
Well, I mean, they had a good relationship. It seemed real cordial. If they had an argument, it was always real minor, nitpicking type of things, like an old couple.
Rebecca and Asher, being probably the closest people in Tiffany's lives, they didn't have any concerns about Chris's relationship with Tiffany.
Do you know why they broke up?
What he was telling me that my sister has told him is that she needed to work on herself.
She just saying like she needed her space.
But according to Tiffany's brother, the breakup wasn't final.
She just said that they're taking a break rather than just be like, hey, it's absolutely over.
Chris had moved out, but he'd never stopped coming around.
After they broke up, he would pop up, but that wasn't really an issue.
Was he like begging, hey, come on, baby, let's work this out?
Not to my knowledge.
Although both knew that Chris still had feelings for Tiffany.
He'd not just pop up, he'd also talk to me sometimes. He did always like ask questions, as in like trying to figure out what my sister was doing.
You could just always tell he's always worried about what Tiffany was doing.
In a sense, she sort of left him hanging.
Meanwhile, Tiffany was making the most of being newly single.
The time apart, made her realize that, maybe she's better off.
While Tiffany did care about Chris, she was ready to explore other potential relationship opportunities.
Rebecca tells the officers that Tiffany had met someone new at the end of September. 26-year-old Devin Bishop.
Devin is someone who Tiffany had met online. It started off as casual communication back and forth. She enjoyed having conversation with him. It felt comfortable and flowed easily.
And they'd finally met face-to-face a few days earlier.
Although Tiffany, being cautious, had asked Rebecca to come along as her wingman.
It seemed like she liked him like at the club on Saturday, and he gave us a ride home.
She had an amazing time with him, and she didn't want the night to end.
According to Rebecca, it didn't.
She told detectives that Devin had ended up staying the night with Tiffany.
They have an intimate relationship then? I don't think they did anything, unless she just doesn't want me to know, like she didn't say. But he was real gentleman, respectful to her.
Rebecca, she felt as though it was actually just a good time, good conversation.
Either way, things had gone so well that Tiffany planned to see him again, just a few hours before she vanished.
She invited him to come have dinner at night.
She said that after they got off work that day, she and Tiffany had picked up some groceries.
Then she'd help Tiffany make dinner.
She was just saying, oh, I can't wait.
They're in the kitchen together, working and preparing a meal. And Tiffany hears a knock on the door.
He's like an hour early. She says it early. Okay, how do I look?
Tiffany, being very excited about her upcoming dinner, is excited to answer it.
Tiffany is thinking that it's Devin.
Instead, the evening was about to get a little awkward.
Hey, Tiff.
According to Tiffany's brother Asher and his girlfriend Rebecca, Tiffany's ex-boyfriend Chris Reville showed up at their apartment shortly before Tiffany disappeared.
Tiffany and Rebecca are shocked when they open up the door.
It's Chris standing there.
Hey, Tiff. Is Asher around?
We didn't know he was gonna come be there.
There was a bit of panic because she's anticipating another date with Devin, and here's Chris.
According to Tiffany's brother, it was all a miscommunication.
Chris had hit me up and we were gonna watch a football game. Well, I didn't know that Tiffany was having her other friend come over at that time.
Rebecca says that once Asher was talking to Chris, she and Tiffany went into the kitchen.
I was like, what are you gonna do?
Rebecca knew that Chris still had feelings for Tiffany.
And Devin was on his way.
If Chris realized Tiffany was seeing someone else, things could get complicated.
Tiffany is trying to figure out how to get rid of him as quickly as she could.
When Chris stepped out on the balcony, Tiffany had seized the chance.
That's when she had notified me, hey, Chris needs to go. Like, it's gonna be awkward if they're both here.
From Asher's perspective, this put him in a very difficult position.
Well, what do you want me to say?
No, just figure it out.
Do you have the rest of this?
Then, according to Rebecca, Tiffany had headed out the door to try to catch Devin before he arrived.
She was like, I'm gonna tell him we need to go to Walmart or something. Just stop him.
That allows Rebecca and Asher to try to manage Chris and get rid of him.
She was trying to avoid any type of conflict.
So Tiffany runs downstairs to try to get in her car in order to intercept Devin.
That's when the plan had gone awry.
Since their building was pretty far away from the entrance of the apartment complex, she decided to drive there.
Chris and her brother were watching from the balcony as Tiffany got into her car.
Hey, where's she going?
That's when we had both seen her get into her car, back it up, and then pull it back in.
Tiffany texts her brother that her brakes failed.
I did see a puddle of brake oil down there.
Rebecca and Asher are aware that Tiffany has been having a back and forth with her mechanic regarding these brakes.
She had ended up calling one of her other friends, mechanic or something, and the mechanic had come over and fixed the car.
She had just gotten her brakes fixed a couple of days ago, and now they're still not working.
Asher says that after Tiffany's brakes failed, Chris had gone down to check things out.
Looks like your brake line is leaking.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was afraid of.
Yeah, you want me to fix it?
According to her brother, Tiffany tried to wave Chris off.
I could see my sister using it to just go type of hand movement type of thing.
Actually, I texted the mechanic already, and I need to go meet him out front.
She's got to hustle to try to get in front of Devin to intercept him before he reaches the apartment.
But she was too late.
According to Asher, Devin had seen Chris and Tiffany talking by the car downstairs.
He had tried to introduce himself when he got dropped off. Well, my sister had said, no, just go up there.
So Devin, already knowing where the apartment was from the last night they were out, walks up.
Asher says he let Devin in.
He sat down on the couch. I was sitting in a chair for about 20 minutes.
He's got to keep another man entertained while his sister deals with the old man. What's even more odd is that Chris returns to the apartment without Tiffany.
I had asked Chris where Tiffany went, and he told me that she must got picked up by somebody like a mechanic or something.
And according to Asher, Devin's presence in the apartment didn't sit too well with her ex.
Chris was like, this is what I expected all along. I just pretty much told him to keep his head up type of thing and whatever.
Chris was clearly not happy that Devin wasn't leaving, so Chris eventually left.
After Chris took off, Asher tried to text Tiffany.
He messaged her and waited, but Tiffany did not return any of his texts.
I gave it another about 20 minutes, and so now altogether it's about an hour has passed.
Okay.
And can't contact her, so that's when I decided to go downstairs, because now I'm just worried.
Now dark out, Devin went down with Asher, and together they searched for Tiffany.
It didn't take them long to find something.
Tiffany's car keys were sitting on top of the car, and that was very odd. It's dark, and I had my flashlight on, and I had seen my sister's phone.
That's when Asher really started to panic.
That phone is glued to her hand.
Asher, after finding the phone and the keys, he calls Rebecca and he says something has gone wrong.
Yeah, we just found her phone and her keys.
I was like, don't play. Like, are you joking right now?
Asher had to reiterate to her, no, this is serious.
What are you gonna do?
You better call the cops.
Then Asher called Chris.
Hey, Chris.
I said, you need to come back right now. This does not look right.
Chris's response was interesting.
Chris says, it sounds like you're blaming me for something.
Johnson's brother Asher says that once he realized Tiffany had disappeared, He'd called her ex, Christopher Reville.
I kind of insinuated that he needed to show up now because it's not looking good on his part.
Because Chris was the last person that she was seen with. Asher wanted some answers.
Are you coming? Okay. All right, bro. All right.
Chris ultimately tells Asher that he'll be there as soon as he can.
While waiting for Chris to arrive, Asher tells officers that Tiffany's would-be date, Devin, is still at the apartment.
The police question Devin, who confirms everything Asher and Rebecca had said.
A friend had dropped him off at the front gate of the apartment complex. And when he walked in, he had seen Tiffany talking to Chris.
I was going to introduce myself. I stuck my hand out to shake his hand and she stopped me. She was like, nah, not this guy, just go upstairs.
He also confirms that Tiffany had texted him about going to Walmart.
But I come to find out that the whole Walmart deal was just to get him to leave.
Mostly, while talking to the police, Devin just seemed confused.
Oh shit, but
yeah.
She just all of a sudden disappeared when I show up.
When Chris arrives at the apartment, he seemed more than willing to talk to the police.
So I actually came back to try to help and try to figure out what was going on.
When asked about the breakup, Chris tells the same story that Rebecca and Asher told. He confirms that he and Tiffany just needed to take some space.
We're still friends, you know, there's no problem.
He goes on to tell police that he'd come over, expecting to hang out with Asher. And then he found that Tiffany was having some brake issues. And all he wanted to do was try to help her fix her car problems. But Tiffany shut him down.
He's like, yeah, I'm calling the guy. He's supposed to come over here and take a look at it because I already paid him.
He said that he felt like she didn't need him anymore, and that's why he went upstairs.
And when Asher asked him where Tiffany was, he said she was with the mechanic because he thought that was the plan.
I thought she was gonna be with the guy that was supposed to be fixing the brakes. That's what he said she'd stay still.
Chris's story, it adds up in many ways. Still, Chris was the last person who'd been seen with Tiffany.
So just to be sure, officers ask Chris if they can search his vehicle.
Chris was happy to oblige.
They searched the front seat, the back seat, and there just appears to be a cooler and just some other junk in the car.
We found no blood. We found none of her hair. We didn't find evidence of the violence that one would expect to incapacitate a person.
And when officers look at Tiffany's phone, they find further confirmation of Chris's story.
They find the text to a man named Lewis.
The text said, "My brakes are leaking again."
That's her mechanic friend.
Police also see Lewis's response.
He said he could come right over if it's an emergency. So at this point in time, Tiffany's text messages corroborates the story that Tiffany could have left with the mechanic.
If you hear from her or she comes back, give us a call.
Of course. We'll go ahead and get this filed at the station and we'll be in touch, okay, guys? All right. Thank you.
When the case is handed over to detectives, they immediately follow up with the mechanic who Tiffany had been texting with just prior to her disappearance.
Hi, this is Detective Heisey with the Fort Worth Police Department. This phone number appeared on Tiffany Johnson's phone records. Is this a good time for me to ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Lewis confirms that he had worked on Tiffany's car 2 days before she disappeared.
Okay, so a day or two before.
Right.
He also confirms he had heard from Tiffany again around 9 o'clock that evening.
She had texted me and said, hey, my brakes are leaking again.
Lewis had previously told Tiffany that there was a possibility that her brakes would leak because of an aftermarket product he received from the auto parts store. So he wasn't surprised
I sent her a screenshot of the right part. And it was like, she gets the part, I will gladly switch it for her.
He said Tiffany never responded to the texts.
He never leaves his house.
Were you texting with Tiffany that night about the oil line?
Me and my wife was in my living room.
Oh, so your wife was well?
Yeah, my wife was with me.
When the detectives followed up, his alibi checked out.
Okay. His wife confirms that Lewis didn't leave the house,
which meant that the detectives were back at square one.
With no other leads, detectives reach out to Tiffany's mother, who lives in South Dakota.
First of all, I'm sorry that we have to be in this situation where she has come up missing. We are working on trying to locate her.
I knew something was wrong. It was just really weird. I don't know what they call it, but I knew.
Without knowing the details, Tiffany's mom immediately tells the detectives to look at Chris.
My first thought went to him.
You just didn't get a good vibe from him.
Not a very good vibe, no.
She didn't feel good about the relationship.
He was always jealous of her, very possessive.
I hated it. But, she believed that she could take care of herself.
Tiffany Johnson's mother has just told detectives that the real reason her daughter broke up with Christopher Reville is because he was overly jealous and controlling.
She had told me there were good times. There's a lot of bad times also.
Tiffany told her mom Chris couldn't handle it whenever another man looked even in her general direction.
She said she's changed her whole appearance just to try to please Chris.
She couldn't wear this, couldn't wear that because other guys were looking at her.
Based on the information provided by Tiffany's mom, detectives want to look at Chris a little further.
If he was as jealous and controlling as her mom said, maybe the realization of Tiffany seeing someone else pushed him to violence.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We'll be in touch.
That afternoon, detectives head to Chris's mother's house with a search warrant.
Chris had been living with his mom since the breakup.
But the search leaves detectives wondering when Tiffany was last there.
What detectives found in Chris's mother's backyard was a black bra with a broken clasp and a tan-colored tank top.
These items match the description of what Tiffany was wearing when she went missing.
Talking to his mother's neighbors, the detectives uncover more evidence that suggests Chris and Tiffany had a contentious relationship.
She witnessed Tiffany pulling up one day in her car and Chris running outside yelling at her.
And he was screaming at her, "What the hell you got on?" It was just a sundress. She witnessed Chris grab Tiffany and she stayed outside watching to make sure that Chris saw her in the hopes that Chris would eventually let Tiffany go.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Have a good day. We'll get in touch.
Thank you.
After talking to the neighbors, detectives bring Chris in to confront him with what they found in his mother's backyard.
Police have been over there, and apparently they found a bra. Anything about that?
He claimed that the mother must have been doing laundry out in the back.
When they do laundry, do they hang it out on the clothesline, or they got a dryer, or
hang them up sometimes? They got a dryer. She still has clothes over at my house.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she got some shirts over there and stuff like that. She had a bra or two.
Chris's story seemed a little too convenient for the detectives, though.
When was the last time that she was over there?
It's been months.
When the interview's over, the detectives place Chris under arrest.
Although there was no body that was recovered, detectives had enough evidence to charge Chris with aggravated kidnapping.
Once Chris is in custody, the detectives head back to his mother's house and search for Tiffany in the surrounding neighborhood.
Police spent a good amount of time searching a wooded area that's behind Chris's mother's house.
There was helicopters in the sky. There was at least 200 police officers scouring around.
The police don't find any trace of Tiffany.
They search and search and come up empty-handed.
Chris's phone records are little help.
We do have good cell phone ping information from Chris's cell phone. He left the crime scene at the apartments. He went down Highway 360. Then he went west on I-30.
But as he was heading west on Interstate 30, his phone mysteriously goes dark.
At that point, we have no cell phone pings for 23 minutes.
Which suggests that either his phone was off or in airplane mode.
Then we see him reappear with a ping off of the towers at his parents' house. But I'm willing to place a bet that he disposed of her in that 23 minutes.
With Chris's phone records a dead end, the detectives pull his criminal history.
They realize it's a very lengthy record.
Chris had been arrested for armed robbery, aggravated assault, battery.
In fact, he'd only been released from prison a couple months before he began dating Tiffany.
But that's hardly the most shocking thing detectives find.
This wasn't the first time that someone connected to Chris had disappeared.
Back in 2006, his 20-year-old girlfriend also disappeared.
10 years later, she was still missing.
We can only advocate for her. That's all we can do. There's so many other missing cases that have came in after Tiffany. So all we can do is keep calling the police department. We've gone out on searches. We covered 80 some square miles and there's nothing. You know, she's got to be somewhere.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of Tiffany Johnson have learned that one of Chris Reville's previous girlfriends also disappeared.
In 2006, a young woman who was involved with Chris went missing.
Her name was Taliba Islam.
They had a child together.
And the details of her disappearance were eerily similar to Tiffany's disappearance.
Similarly to Chris and Tiffany, Chris and his previous girlfriend had also broken up.
On the day that she disappeared, the last person known to have been around Taliba was Christopher Reville.
That's a pretty big coincidence.
Oftentimes, if someone believes they've gotten away with a crime, they follow the same pattern.
For Tiffany's brother, Chris's pattern was crystal clear.
He was a serial killer.
The dude fooled everybody. Taliba's case really opened up our eyes to the stuff that he's capable of.
To find out there's another girl that went missing, it gave me the goosebumps, shivers all up my spine.
Do the dual disappearances really mean that Chris is a serial killer? When forensic experts recover deleted texts from Chris's phone, they reveal the depths of his obsession with Tiffany and his anger over the breakup.
What they found was shocking. Ranting text messages sent by Chris. "You broke my heart. I can't believe you did this to me. I won't rest until I'm looking in your eyes and saying my vows."
However, while the detectives believe they've uncovered a motive for murder, they still don't have the victim's body.
The case is drying up. They're not finding any new evidence that points to where Tiffany is.
At the end of October, with all their leads exhausted, the Fort Worth police suspend their search for Tiffany.
But Tiffany's family is not having it. Tiffany's family joins up with Taliba's family and demand that the Fort Worth Police Department reach out to FBI and every other available resource to help them locate their missing family members.
If it's your child, you're going to hold off as long as you can until your child is found.
However, just because the authorities have abandoned their search for Tiffany, they haven't given up on holding Chris accountable for her disappearance.
The police move forward with the charges of aggravated kidnapping. The prosecutors were not going to be able to have as strong of an argument that Tiffany was murdered because there was no body.
And an aggravated kidnapping conviction could lead to significant jail time.
The sentence for aggravated kidnapping is life in prison.
When Chris goes on trial in August of 2019, the prosecution contends that when Chris followed Tiffany down to the parking lot, an angry confrontation ensued.
What was that? The prosecution's theory was that Chris became enraged when he learned that Tiffany was moving on without him.
It's none of your business, Chris.
What if I make it my business?
The prosecutors believe that once Devin went upstairs, Chris had grabbed Tiffany and forced her into his car.
The crux of the offense was his restraining her and moving her from the apartment complex.
What happened during the time Chris's phone went silent remains a mystery.
We're not obligated under the law to prove what happened to her, because the truth is, we don't know.
However, one thing is certain.
She's not here with us anymore.
And according to the prosecution, there is only one person who could be responsible.
The evidence against Chris was substantial. The fact that he was the last person to see Tiffany, the fact that he drove to his parents' house before he returned back to the apartment scene, and the fact that Tiffany's clothes were at his parents' house.
Chris's defense sticks to his claim that Tiffany left the apartment complex with someone else.
Chris's defense team maintained there was no evidence to connect him to Tiffany's disappearance. There was no way to prove how or when the clothes that were found in his mother's yard got there. There were no defensive wounds on Chris, no evidence in his car.
But when the case goes to the jury, it's clear who they think is responsible for Tiffany's disappearance.
They came back with a guilty verdict.
There was just no other explanation for what happened to her.
The judge sentences Chris to life in prison.
There was relief that he was finally held responsible for what he's done.
He deserves it right and where he's at.
However, there's still something missing.
Tiffany's family still wants answers.
You're locked up, but where's Tiffany?
He had every chance to tell us where Tiffany is, and he refused to.
Justice will be done when we find Tiffany and when we find Taliba.
Justice comes a little closer in March of 2023, after a woman's skeletal remains are discovered alongside a railroad track in Fort Worth.
DNA testing confirmed that the remains belonged to Taliba Islam.
But for the moment, Tiffany remains missing, and her family and the people still searching for her continue to cling to hope.
I believe that when the time comes, Tiffany's going to be found. I really do feel that he felt comfortable with where he disposed of Taliba, and that Tiffany will be very close by.
There's just a gaping openness in my heart that's missing. I mean, my life, my heart is incomplete without her here. She's still my child. She deserves to come home.
Memphis, Tennessee is known as the center for arts and entertainment in the Deep South. But in 2010, the city lost one of its hometown heroes in a hail of gunfire. The mysterious death of the beloved NBA superstar would confound police for years and bring an entire community together in the search for justice.
I love the pace of the city. It has a lot of soul.
Part of that soul comes from the city's connection to music. Memphis is known as the birthplace of rock and roll. But decades before Elvis laid down his first track at Sun Studios, it was the home of the blues.
Memphis is what we call a chocolate city. It's 65% African American. That shapes our culture and our attitude and the way we are. The blues being founded right here in Memphis on Beale Street. People like Johnny Asen and Bobby Bland and Roscoe Gordon, B.B. King. All of these blues people made Memphis home.
Memphis has always had that good, soulful R&B music, jazz, blues, rock and roll, and it still has it to this day. You can find good music almost anywhere in this city, and we are never at a loss for some good entertainment.
Beale Street also served as an economic center for the town's black businesses.
Miserably, they didn't have the proper kinds of health insurance or benefits or that a person needs to just sustain life and take care of a family.
Everybody else was involved in civil rights, coalesced around them. And they were able to get Dr. Martin Luther King to come to town to support the sanitation workers.
Memphians love basketball. It's kind of the glue that holds this town together.
It doesn't matter whether you're black or you're white. When you're watching Memphis basketball, everybody's pulling for the same team. And that means a lot in this community.
In 1995, the city got their own team to root for when the Vancouver Grizzlies relocated to Memphis. One of their star players was a 6'11" center named Lorenzen Wright.
I remember when I first met Lorenzen in high school, Booker T. Washington, senior year in 1994. The coach told me, hey, go look at this kid. You're going to like what you see.
Was an outstanding player, big guy. He then decided to enroll at the University of Memphis. It was nothing but excitement.
He was huge in building that program. He was a McDonald's All-American. Everyone, you could tell.
With his family by his side.
Everybody was in front of a TV set that night when the NBA draft went off. The seventh, they called Lorenzen Wright. Everybody screamed.
He was a first-round draft pick. Played in Los Angeles for the Clippers for a while.
After 5 years with the Clippers, Lorenzen briefly played for the Atlanta Hawks before being traded to his hometown team, the Memphis Grizzlies. The town welcomed him, Shara, and their now 4 children back home with open arms.
The fans literally packed the Forum just to see him play. After all, he's a hometown product. And it was just outstanding for him and for us, for him to be here. He's one of the giants, of Memphis basketball. He's a hometown hero.
Lorenzen was more than just a player. He was also a pillar of the community, volunteering his time and money to the city that raised him. But 2 years later, tragedy struck the Wright family with... But before Lorenzen and Shara could renew their vows, the former NBA center suddenly vanished without a trace. July 18th, 2010, Lorenzen travels to Memphis to attend his sister's baby shower.
Lorenzen was living in Atlanta at this point. So the first thing that he does when he gets back to Memphis is go around town and visit his friends before he goes to visit his kids.
My nephew, Phil, he actually picked Lorenzen up and took him over to Shara's house.
Lorenzen spends the evening with the children and leaves before midnight. But the following day, friends realize he's not answering any of their calls.
I got a call from the sheriff. Night, ain't heard from him. Have you heard from him? No.
Nobody pushed the panic button because it's so easy for NBA players to say, hey, let's meet in Vegas tomorrow. We'll be at the Caesars Palace. 14 to 15 guys to go jump on a plane.
And we're talking about a grown man who, at that point, was up in age, and how could he be missing? I mean, did he just drop out of sight? We didn't think that was possible.
As days continue to pass, his loved ones begin to worry.
After the third day of saying he's missing, me and Cheryl both were like, something wrong, this is different.
That then became the top concern in this town for everybody. Where is Lorenzen Wright? And what happened to him?
The answer would confirm everyone's worst fears.
Georgetown 911, where's your emergency? Hello?
To the city of Memphis, Lorenzen Wright wasn't just a basketball player. He was a role model who proved it was possible for a hometown kid to succeed.
Unfortunately, Memphis has a huge poverty problem. That's just a fact of life.
He saw that so many people had helped him and he wanted to help people back. I have watched him pull hundreds of dollars out of his pocket and literally give it to people. He couldn't stand to see somebody struggling when he knew he could help.
But now, the popular celebrity has disappeared without a trace. As the search continues, the city rallies around the Wright family.
There was a tremendous outpouring from the community when Lorenzen went missing.
I remember that week of suspense, the phone calls, the concern.
Gunshots with 2 to the back of the head. He was still wearing all of his jewelry, so it was evident to the police that this wasn't a robbery. He was actually shot execution style.
But who would murder a hometown hero like Lorenzen? And why?
When the news broke that they finally found his body, the earth shook in Memphis. There were reporters out there from that field, the meadow where he was found. It was virtually, around the clock coverage.
It was very painful for Cheryl during the time. I heard her wailing from her heart. Only time I heard her wail like that when she lost her daughter.
In looking at Lorenzen's last moments, they uncover an unsettling detail.
One of the first things that investigators did was they looked at his cell phone records, and they were astonished to find that he had tried to make a 911 call hours after he had disappeared.
Lorenzen made a panicked last-second call when he sensed that he was in grave danger, and you can hear the gunshots in the background.
Georgetown 911, where's your emergency? Hello? Hello?
911 dispatcher answered the phone and did literally nothing. Didn't call the Shelby County Sheriff's Department.
Lost even more faith in the system.
We might not have had this murder mystery on our hands if things had happened right. Because basically what it did was it gave the killers.
Also suspects he'd gotten involved in the Memphis drug trade.
There were a couple of instances that occurred prior to Lorenzen going missing. Lorenzen Jr. had reported that 2 individuals had approached him in the parking lot after school in a threatening manner and asked where his father was. And then there was another incident reported by Shara Wright that individuals had come to the home looking for Lorenzen.
I got the phone call from her the day of, and she was frantic about it because there were threats against the kids. She said, I gotta call him and contact him. I don't know what he into, and it ain't gonna hurt my babies. And that probably about 3-4 days before he ended up missing.
Did Lorenzen Wright get in over his head with the wrong people?
There's a history of athletes being involved in drug activity. Maybe he was in debt to some people. Maybe this was a drug deal that had gone bad. Maybe the Lorenzen that we knew was not the Lorenzen in reality.
The first 48 hours after any murder investigation are the most important. That's when your witnesses' memories are most fresh. The evidence is fresh. A witness can usually give you a solid description of a suspect a couple hours after an incident. A week or so later, not so much. On top of that, evidence gets destroyed the longer you wait. DNA, fingerprints, security tapes gets harder to collect. As a detective, you have to make split-second decisions. And with every waking moment, your suspect is getting further and further away. In the case of Lorenzen Wright, detectives were a full 9 days behind, so they had to play some serious catch-up.
Memphis isn't a town many would associate with violent crime. But in 2010, the city's murder rate was nearing an all-time high as authorities grappled with an escalating drug problem.
Drugs play a significant role in crime culture in Memphis. It's been said that there are 2 causes of crime in Memphis. The first is drugs, the second is women. So virtually all homicides in Memphis are a result of one or the other.
We have a lot of people in this community who don't care about their fellow human beings and are willing to commit crimes and even try to take somebody's life over nothing.
Now, it looks like former NBA star Lorenzen Wright might be the latest victim of the drug trade.
Shura did express fear at what Lorenzen might or might not have been doing, whether he was dealing in drugs. She didn't know, but she was concerned.
These mysterious hitmen with trench coats and guns in their waistbands are showing up at her house and at Lorenzen Junior School and other places looking for Lorenzen. So what does that mean? It means that somehow he's crossed these individuals and they have a score to settle.
As detectives begin digging into Lorenzen's past, they make a startling discovery.
Lorenzen made about $55 million throughout his career. But in 2008, he started running into financial problems.
To make some quick cash, he'd sold a few of his luxury cars. The buyer was a dealer in a local drug cartel.
In the last month of Lorenzen's life, he was involved in these car transactions where he sold cars to Bobby Cole. Bobby Cole was a family friend who was kind of a race car hobbyist who was also a drug distributor.
Bobby Cole was connected to Craig Pettis, who's, a crime lord, basically, here in Memphis. He's infamous for dealing in cocaine.
Craig Pettis is a huge name around here, very infamous as a Mexico to Memphis drug cartel, murderous gang. You didn't mess with the Pettis gang because you would get whacked if you did.
And it looked like the cars might have had something.
Cartel ends up sending a hitman anyway.
Career law enforcement think it's a plausible thing, and there's reasons for that too, because the way he was shot. I mean, who would do something like that but a drug organization, right?
The speculation was that they came from Atlanta. They were looking for Lorenzen. 7 days, they could be in Timbuktu.
The former police chief here, he's talking about how close the murder scene was to the airport. And he says he could almost imagine these guys flying in from Mexico, going and killing Lorenzen, getting back in a plane and disappearing into the night forever.
But without suspect.
Lorenzen was smart. He knew Cheryl would take care of his kids. So he cut $1 million life insurance policy with her name on it. And when that policy came in, she took $150,000, bought a home outright, paid about $20,000 and went to a trip to New York to all the kids.
Was it possible Lorenzen's ex-wife had killed him for the insurance money?
People were openly saying, you need to look at Shara, something's fishy.
They got divorced, and then he's murdered just months later. Clearly, I think there's a motive there.
During their marriage, Shara and Lorenzen Wright had been one of Memphis's most recognizable power couples.
People weren't at their parties, at their gatherings. Anywhere they went out in public, they were noticed.
But now, rumors are spreading that Shara could be involved in her ex-husband's murder.
There were a lot of people who were saying that she's just not being honest about this, that she knew more than what she was telling.
That was open discussion on talk shows in Memphis. People on the radio, people who even knew her better than I did.
There were rumors spreading throughout Memphis. And when the insurance money came up, it made everybody in Memphis go, hold up, what's really going on?
The $1 million insurance policy isn't the only thing that makes investigators suspicious.
By that time, a lot of the counts had come out.
Shara only adds to the controversy when she publishes her debut novel in 2015, titled Mr. Tell Me Anything.
It's a fictionalized account that's essentially based on her relationship with Lorenzen Wright. It's a woman that is dealing with a philandering husband who is abusive and his subsequent murder.
It's just bizarre that it's so close to the actual story of their life. The parallels are just uncanny. When you get into some of the volatile nature of the relationship, that's when it gets really interesting. It's almost like a confession, you know, that written probably partly in code.
O.J. Simpson wrote a book which said, if I had done it. This was a if I had done it book.
Once Shara's book hits the shelves in Memphis, the city turns against her.
She became a pariah in this town. And again, people thought that she was hiding something, that she was teasing us in a way, that she was manipulative, that she was not the person that she appeared to be.
It's not enough for police to bring charges, but over the next 2 years, their suspicions continue to grow.
In 2015, I interviewed Tony Armstrong, who was the police director. Usually these guys are so guarded. You go talk to a cop, you know, and they're like, they don't want to tell you anything. He willingly did the interview. He all but accused her of this.
Shara suddenly picks up and moves to Houston with a new boyfriend. And then she leaves him for another guy in California.
She wanted to get away, I believe, and try to put this all behind her in some fashion. And that's what she tried to do.
Then, in 2017, investigators finally get a break in the case after receiving a tip.
A lot of us got word that something was brewing and the police department was about to make a big announcement. Later that same day, they announced that they had found the gun in a lake in Walnut, Mississippi.
They do ballistics tests, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation does, and they match the shell casings that were found around Lorenzen's body.
The finding of the murder weapon really changed everything.
I remember saying, this is going to crack the case, primarily because there was no way for the police to just accidentally stumble upon a gun in a lake in remote northeast Mississippi without someone who was actively involved in the homicide itself telling them exactly where the gun was.
To investigators' surprise, the gun isn't linked to Shara Wright or a drug cartel. Instead, it's registered to a 48-year-old church deacon named Billy Ray Turner.
I knew nothing of Billy Turner. I had never heard of Billy Turner before.
My initial reaction was one of being totally baffled. What's going on here?
In some cases, the police have no other option than to offer a plea deal if it's going to lead to catching bigger fish. The criminal can receive a reduced sentence or even immunity if the evidence can be used to prosecute someone else. You would think that most cases end in a trial, but over 90% of the cases in this country end in plea deals. You never want to let someone off the hook who's committed murder, but if it means being able to put everyone involved behind bars, sometimes it's worth it.
Finally find a piece of evidence that may lead them to his killer.
Finding that gun brought everything about this case back to the forefront.
In the minds of the law enforcement, that was the piece, the critical piece that they needed.
We were ecstatic because we'd waited so long for some news about who did this to Lorenzo.
At first, investigators find it hard to believe that the murder weapon belongs to local church deacon Billy Ray Turner. But it turns out this man of the cloth has a history of violence.
He had been convicted of a few violent crimes, including aggravated assault and kidnapping.
What's particularly interesting, however, is Turner's relationship with Lorenzen's ex-wife, Shara.
Billy Turner had done some work around Shara's house for her. She knew Billy Turner from her church, and at some point, they had a brief romantic relationship.
He also had a lawn service, a yard service, and he actually used to cut her grass. And then we found out that she used some of the money that she got from the insurance to buy him his lawn equipment. So she sort of financed his business.
After all those years of suspecting that Shara had her husband killed, that's the connection that you're looking for. It's not hard to see her getting this guy to do her dirty work.
I never met him, know anything about him. But I knew that Shara was very capable at manipulating men. And I suspected that, like we used to say, he fell for the okie doke.
Before they move in to make the arrest, investigators lay a trap for Lorenzen's killers.
They announced they found this gun in the lake. Now, they haven't arrested anybody, but they found this gun. I'm sitting there thinking, why would you do that? Because they always hold on to everything. But what were they doing is they were floating that out there so that the principal suspects would panic, and being Shara and Billy Ray. And they tap their phones and they start getting this communication going back and forth. And that's where they find out, that Shara's talking to Billy Ray in code at one point, saying something to the effect that someone went somewhere and found something, which means, they went in the lake and found the gun. They orchestrated that beautifully.
In December of 2017, Billy Ray Turner and Shara Wright are both arrested by Memphis police.
Shara was guilty in the eyes of the community well before she was arrested. So I think when she was arrested, the community felt somewhat vindicated that their suspicions had been correct all along.
I don't know if it gave us complete closure, but certainly the community felt that we were on our way determining once and for all, after all of these years, what actually happened to Lorenzen.
3 months later, at Shara's bond hearing, a clearer picture of Lorenzen's death finally starts to emerge.
Prosecutors drop a bombshell at that hearing, including the tip that the informant was Shara's cousin, Jimmy Martin. He's the one that told them about the gun being in a lake in Mississippi.
Jimmy Martin had been convicted of second-degree murder. While he was awaiting sentencing for that homicide, he met with law enforcement, and he said that he knew the location of that murder weapon.
The kicker is that he says that he knew where the gun was because he was with Shera and Billy Ray after the killing.
He was with Billy Ray when they were cleaning up the murder scene, and they drove down just across the state line into Mississippi and threw this gun into a lake.
And according to Jimmy, it wasn't the first time Shera asked them to kill Lorenzen.
Went down to Atlanta with Billy Ray Turner in the weeks before the murder actually happened, with the idea that they were going to murder Lorenzen down in Atlanta. Billy Ray and Jimmy Martin go to Lorenzen's condominium and open a window and go through the window. Lorenzen isn't there. There's some guy sleeping on a couch. Lorenzen has a lifelong friend, Michael Gibson, and he's told me that I think I was the guy on the couch. He always found it puzzling that Shera was down there like a day or two before the murder in Memphis. She was down in Atlanta, and it was kind of like, well, what are you doing here? The police information is that she went in the house and unlocked the window.
Jimmy testifies that the first try doesn't work out. So she reschedules for Lorenzen's trip to Memphis. But Jimmy claims he wasn't there.
By his account, he wasn't at the murder. He was more of a cleanup man.
However, Shera's attorneys insist that she had been wrongly accused. If anyone had a reason to kill her ex-husband, it was Jimmy.
When we first got the case and we reviewed the discovery materials, we thought that Jimmy Martin would be the perfect person to have killed Lorenzen. Because, again, he had the opportunity and the ability. He also knew so much about the case. He knew where the murder weapon was, and that's not something that someone who is loosely connected with the case would know. He had killed before, and I thought that he could certainly...
Reliable witness. This is definitely not going to be a slam dunk for the prosecutors.
Despite the lack of evidence, the city of Memphis seems to have already made up its mind.
From the point that she was arrested, she was certainly, in the eyes of the public, she was guilty.
People remember the 911 call. They remember the several days decaying in the hot summer. They remember the lies. So there was no sympathy that was being given to her at that point.
At Shera's pretrial hearing,
for several years, that she was filled with rage at being disfigured by Lorenzen and that she wanted revenge.
As her trial date approaches, the city of Memphis prepares for weeks of scandalous testimony.
It was going to be a brutal trial, and it was going to be scorched earth. If her accounts are true, and she says they are, of the physical abuse, I mean, that's a real problem. Is that reason to kill somebody?
But before opening statements can begin, Shera has another surprise in store.
She suddenly decides to plead guilty. She says that she wasn't the one who killed her ex-husband, but she facilitated the murder.
There were concerns on both sides that a trial would have been very messy. From the state's perspective, I'm sure they were concerned about the abuse that was inevitably going to come out.
They just opted to not do this knockdown, drag out. You know, you never know what a jury is going to do. If somebody's going to plead, that's a slam dunk.
Lorenzen and Shera's 6 children now have to navigate life without their mother,
and that she's going to prison as a result of it.
Billy Ray Turner also strikes a deal on weapons charges and receives 16 years in prison. His murder trial is still pending.
People are expecting a thorough prosecution, a thorough...
Lorenzen Wright's death may never be known, His family and his fans will always remember the man he was, on and off the court.
When I look back on this young man, a phenomenal basketball talent, a caring young man, I can't help but have a sense of loss.
People come up and tell you things like, you'll get over it. That's not true. When you lose someone you love, you never really get over it. You learn how to adapt.
We deserve to have full closure of this case. We deserve to move forward past this, knowing that justice was done. And until that happens, I don't think that we will ever be really completely satisfied.
Dallas, Texas, is one of the most important economic and cultural centers in the state. Its history and traditions run deep, and perhaps the most important tradition in Texas is Friday night high school football. In the late 1980s, one team rose above all the rest, but it was their inexplicable and shocking fall from grace that would ultimately become their legacy. Dallas was one of the first Texan towns built in the wake of independence. The advent of the railroad quickly made it a key business and trading center. Today, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is home to nearly 7.5 million people.
Dallas is at the forefront of everything. It's an attractive space for businesses. There's lots of employment opportunities that you can't find elsewhere. It's a booming city.
The African American community, we have about 14% of the total population of the state of Texas. We have African American judges. We have a African American mayor, city manager, chief of police, fire chief, district attorney. And so from that standpoint, we have input into the decision-making process of this county.
Texans, they're born here, they're raised here, they're educated here, and they stay here. But it also has a lot of space for transplants like myself to come in and carve out a space for ourselves and do the work. Lots of opportunity.
It's just here for a lifetime.
And those who grew up in Oak Cliff in 1988 had a lot to cheer about because their team was the Dallas Carter Cowboys.
One of the best football teams to ever play in the state of Texas. Had, I think, 6, 7 players from that team, from that squad, to actually go to the NFL. With our leader being Jesse Armstead, of course.
As I grew up, more than anything, your dream was to play for Carter High School more so than it was to play in the NFL. You wanted to play for Carter because of their history of doing well.
Let me just put it to you in this context. There was no high school football team in America badder than these little cats.
In fact, the team and the school had become one of the reasons many black families chose to move there.
It was a big deal to live in Oak Cliff. If you were African American, you would move into those neighborhoods just for the sole reason to say, I live in Oak Cliff.
When I first started as head coach, every year the athletes want to be at Carter because we win it. The parents want the kids to be over there because I helped them get scholarship.
Not only did the players get to experience the winning tradition, they also got to play alongside other talented athletes.
When I got to Carter and I seen, Jesse, and then you got Derek Evans, all set, you got Lycée Masters, they were confident in who they were. Just winners, great attitude, great men. It was just awesome being a part of that.
to want to be the best. And they were the best. They were the best in the whole metroplex of Dallas and probably over the state of Texas. They had one of the greatest defense ever lived.
The defense called themselves the 11-man posse, and they were more than just teammates. They were best friends.
It was a brotherhood, you know, and we had each other back, and we protected everybody. It was awesome to know that everybody is going to do what they're supposed to do as far as their position is concerned, and that's why we were so good, you know, because we believed in one another, we trusted one another, and everybody, you know, had their assignment, and we executed.
For Dallas Carter, winning the state championship was the goal every year. So far, the team had fallen short, but during the 1988 season, they became the odds-on favorite.
I was a receiver. I was a junior that year. The Dallas Cowboys came to our pep rally. Around the neighborhoods, they treated us like celebrities.
It spoke volumes about these boys' ability to come together and form a cohesive, I mean, truly the epitome of what team means, both on and off the field.
Not everyone was rooting for them, however.
Sometimes one of the hardest things for an all-black team is not just winning, but it's overcoming racism and prejudice.
Desegregation was already alive and well, but I think the black versus white was still there in Dallas. Racial tensions, you know, were high anyway in that pocket.
1982, I became head coach at Carter High School. When I first went there, it was about 95% white. And before I left, we were predominant black.
Dallas schools were integrated in the early 1970s. But as black students and their families moved in, white families moved out, due to the prejudice that property values would drop and the level of crime would rise.
We started having that white flight, they call it. Every day we saw a U-Haul truck past the practice field. And the guy said, somebody must have moved next door to him. See, they didn't want to be next door to no black. The whites did.
Around 1987, the high school athletic conference was realigned, and for the first time, urban and suburban schools were competing.
The Dallas Independent School District schools, they wouldn't be playing the schools in the suburbs. They were predominantly Anglo. And so when the realignment took place, needless to say, there were a lot of people that were upset about having to play urban schools.
So these kids, now they're reaching out, you know, to other corners of the state and beating the heck out of these teams.
For many of the players, this would be their last chance to take home the state title. And to do it, they'd have to beat the nearby powerhouse, Odessa Permian.
They were the team to beat. And you didn't just beat the team, you beat the whole damn town, because the whole town was behind those boys at Odessa Permian. When you talk in terms of football in some of the suburban areas, it's all they had. They breathed football. And if you were having a big game in those suburban communities, that's where the town made its money, because people would come in from out of town and, you know, they would stay at the hotel in the neighborhood. They would eat at the restaurant.
Everybody was afraid to play Odessa. And I said, why am I afraid to play Odessa? I play anybody. Now, I had attention of kids. They'll run through that wall if I tell them to. They had lots of guts, lots of determination, a whole lot of fight in themselves. Because I always taught, and I taught my son this, if you start something, be finished. You finish it.
But no one could have predicted how it would all play out. On December 22nd, 1988, Dallas police respond to an armed identified. It will tear an entire community apart. The residents of Oak Cliff, Texas, take a lot of pride in their community. Since the 1980s, this predominantly black neighborhood has worked hard to become one of the more affluent in the city.
We had a burgeoning middle class of African Americans. They had pretty good jobs making pretty good money. And you could see that as a result of some of the material things that they had, types of cars, how they kept their homes.
We had lawyers, doctors. We had lots of teachers. We had guys that is on the police force finished from Carter High School.
That area was respected as being hardworking and law-abiding citizens. A lot of the Dallas Cowboys were living in that area.
One of Oak Cliff's biggest success stories is Olympic champion Michael Johnson.
He was always that kid to mow lawns, to make ends meet and to help his family, to have him become not only a track star in his own, but to go to the Olympics to represent the entire country. He turned out to be a pride and joy of Dallas.
And the players for its high school football team, the Dallas Carter Cowboys, served as role models for many young men growing up in the area.
The star running back stayed 2 streets over. They're taking us, the younger generation in and exposing us to something that we had not seen. Every weekend, you either heard on the radio who scored the most touchdowns, or you see a player that you knew being spotlighted on News Extra. It's powerful because that's somebody who we could identify with and want to be like.
My mom was in jail at that time. My aunties stayed in the Carter district, so that's how I wound up going to Carter. Keith, Jimmy, Derek, everybody had a house, that their mom and dad were together. That was awesome for me, just to see that.
During their championship run in 1988, the Cowboys were more than just a team. They were celebrities with an entire city at their feet.
The talent at that time, it was off the chain. Just to be around great players, it just taught me how to be a winner.
Our attitudes was we couldn't be beat. I mean, even today, they still saying that that's one of, if not the best high school football team in the state of Texas.
Their parents gave them wonderful lives. They had nice clothes and nice shoes.
Smelled good, kept a clean cut, wore nice jewelry, had the Jordans on. You could have your choice of the women.
Which is why the events that took place over the following year came as such a shock to everyone. On December 22nd, 1988, the Oak Cliff community had just wrapped up its football season and were looking ahead to the holidays when a local fast food restaurant is robbed. 3 months later, there was a similar armed robbery, and then another the month after that.
You wouldn't have necessarily connected these crimes together, but witnesses were describing black men wearing face masks. Sometimes there was 2 robbers, sometimes there was more, but every time they were armed and would grab cash and take off.
By the summer of 1989, a total of 21 Dallas area restaurants and shops have been hit.
The amount of money being stolen ranged from a few $100s to as much as $11,000. The description of the thieves varied, and so did the type of guns that were used. It could mean that it was not the same crew of thieves, but several. One of the restaurants was Poncho's, and it was robbed twice. The second time, the night manager said that he was locking up when 3 black men with stockings on their face entered the restaurant. He said one was holding a gun and demanded that he clean out the safe. He said he was scared for his life.
Investigators a detailed description of the getaway vehicle. It doesn't take long for Dallas police to find it.
It was very good description. The 2 front wheels and the 2 back wheels were different. So a couple of officers saw them and stopped them and found the gun and the money.
To their surprise, the officers immediately recognized both suspects, Derek Evans and Gary Edwards, both star players for the Dallas Carter Cowboys.
One of them was an All-American, and the other one was a very, very good player. They both had already signed the letters of intent to go to colleges, and they were big stars.
People didn't want to believe what was unfolding before their eyes. Here you had these kids who built the dynasty, and now all of a sudden, that's going to start crumbling down.
But why would 2 celebrated athletes risk their futures to commit armed robberies? And who else was involved?
What the age? Even when it's kids like these who have an entire community's hopes and dreams on their shoulders.
1988 and the team's controversial run for their first state championship. Going into the playoffs, the Dallas Carter Cowboys are ranked number 1.
Carter's defense put fear in every other team in the league, especially with linebackers like Jesse Armstead and Derek Evans.
You had talent stacked up on top of talent.
Their success is due in part to the exceptional head coach, Freddie James.
Because he loved us, he was strict on us because he wanted us to make it. He wanted us to be successful. We looked to him as a leader because he was our leader, because he was the coach.
I had lots of fun, good atmosphere at Carter High School. You got to have a good relationship with the parents, the kids at the school. They got to give you respect, and they did respect me.
The players have become more than teammates. They're brothers.
We hung around each other. We ate at each other's house. We had each other back. We were going to protect one another.
Our coaches didn't have to tell us to practice. We would compete with each other. We would go at it, just man on man, one-on-one. I think really that's what made and what makes Carter what it is.
The prospect of an underdog, all-black team rising above and bringing home the state championship makes the Cowboys popular beyond the borders of their Oak Cliff community.
There's this team that's the underdog. You know, they're African American. You know, they come from a community, you know, that didn't get a whole lot of respect, and they're still winning games. And then you start rooting for them. And so we're all sitting on the edge of our seats. We just want to know, did Carter win?
No school in the inner city in the history of Dallas, Texas has ever won state championship at the top Class A, ever.
But it also earns them some powerful enemies.
The football team at Carter suddenly started beating all the local football teams. And there were people in the stands that just weren't rooting for them. It had to be very difficult for these young black high school football players to work so hard and find themselves
who love, you know, a winning team. That superintendent, under pressure from those parents, from the entire community, had to do something to make sure that the decision that he made, the final outcome, would be sound and would be satisfactory to everybody.
Under pressure from the entire community, the superintendent decides that Gary did in fact pass, which means the team is once again eligible to play. The Cowboys are back in the playoff. In the second half, Gary Edwards answers the call, scoring the touchdown that seals the victory for Dallas Carter. But off the field, the battle over the team's eligibility is just getting started.
The league office did not agree with the superintendent's decision and decided to take it to court.
A lot of it was legal maneuvering. Well, if you present it this way, it looks like he passed. But then somebody else would come back and say, well, if you present it this way, though, he didn't pass. So there was a lot of that going back and forth.
The adversity that they were going through was not only felt by them as the players, it was felt by the entire community.
The parents of Oak Cliff are determined to fight for their boys and show up to the hearings with their own lawyer.
We had to fight in the courtroom in order for the kids to continue to be able to play on the football field.
I was a nervous wreck, thinking about whether or not we're going to play the next ball game. I was nervous every day.
With only hours before the scheduled kickoff of their second round game, Dallas Carter still doesn't know whether they'll be allowed to play.
We got on the bus 3 times, and they called in and said, y'all get off the bus, y'all not eligible to play. We get off the bus and go back in the dressing room, kids carry clothes back. And then here come the school policeman, come up and said, Coach, you can get back on the bus.
It was, light switch on, light switch off. You're in, you're out. It was just tiresome.
The team lawyer immediately files an injunction, putting the game on hold. The case is referred to a state judge who will make the final determination. In the meantime, Dallas Carter remains in the
playoffs, and we'd fight them off left and right, week after week.
Following the game, public opinion swings in the Cowboys' favor. The timing of the allegations and the racial undertones involved makes them everyone's favorite underdogs.
They didn't stop playing. They were still beating everybody's pants off. Everywhere they played, they were pretty tough little cookies.
In the quarterfinals, the Cowboys narrowly defeat Marshall, setting up a showdown against one of the strongest East Texas football programs, Odessa Permian.
Kids were so riled up that there was talk about at least a half a day becoming a student holiday. Bragging rights were on the line. Carter had never, ever won a title game. This was a big deal.
The game truly lived up to the hype. It was a knockdown, drag-out fight from start to finish.
Dallas Carter wins 14-9, but the question still remains, will they be allowed to play in the championship?
It came down to the state judge. He decided that the superintendent was the only one who could truly decide the validity of the grade.
The superintendent ruled that Gary Edwards passed, so that was the final verdict.
It was an order that reverberated around the entire state of Texas, and the kids were overjoyed.
We can just go on and play and not even worry about whether we was in or we was out. It was on, because now we're focused. Now we can go and get this championship.
At noon on Saturday, December 17th, 1988, Dallas Carter meets Converse Judson in Texas Stadium to determine the state champion. This time, the outcome is never in doubt. Dallas Carter walks away with a 31-14 victory.
It was gorgeous. It was awesome feeling.
Means a lot. Makes everybody proud. There's a lot of celebrating going on.
After the ball game, I said, now you're the state champ. You're the best in Texas. Keep your head up high because everybody is on you. We're just a happy group of people.
But their moment of triumph would only make their fall from grace that much harder to take. Fame can often change people, giving them an inflated sense of their own self-importance. It can even make them feel as though they're above the law.
You see some people these days who think that they can get away with anything, that no one's going to hold them accountable. Unfortunately, sometimes that's true. Whether they're rich enough to pay for the best lawyers or they've got friends in high places, they get treated differently, even if they've committed a serious crime. There have been a few cases recently that we saw famous people get off with a slap on the wrist, where you and I would go to prison. But those players at Dallas Carter just weren't going to be that lucky.
For the first time, the Dallas Carter Cowboys are the state champions, proving that this team and their neighborhood of Oak Cliff can never be underestimated again. Everywhere they go, the players are treated like royalty.
I kicked it when I got the Carter high. Baby, it was on. Everybody loves a winner.
We was considered like celebrities. Not only did they treat us like that, we expected it.
In the months following their historic victory, 21 Carter players are signed to full scholarships by college teams.
Derek Evans signed with Tennessee. And the big deal was that he did it, from his mama's hot tub, wearing the bling bling.
Some thought this was cocky, but some thought it was just part of his charm and his character.
They say cocky, I say confident. They just jealous because we were winning all the time.
They like to wear the jerseys and pretty shoes, and they were stylish type kids.
Some of the Carter High boys were living lavish lifestyles, and people in the community were beginning to wonder how. And on June 20th, 1989, a pair of arrests revealed the shocking truth. They were stealing it.
Some of the players had started committing some robberies 5 days after the championship.
Soon after the first arrest, more Carter High team members were charged in connection with the crime spree. 6 of the 10 suspects arrested played on the Carter High School football team. Gary Edwards, Derek Evans, Keith Campbell, Patrick P.K. Williams, Eric Andrews, and Carlos Allen.
They came and picked us up from our house. They had us on the news, so they showed our faces. And man, it was just like, dang, is this really happening?
Because they were stars in their own right and in their own minds in the community, I think the attitude was, well, we can do anything we want. We own this town. Negative influences started to creep in.
One of Carter's star football players, P.K. Williams, worked at a local fast food restaurant and saw an opportunity to make some quick money.
Not that we needed the gold chain, it was just lust of the eye that we wanted to have it. And that's when I came up with the plan on how we can afford this stuff.
Williams enlists the aid of his closest teammates, Carlos Allen and Keith Campbell.
I was like, you lost your damn mind. Either you're gonna die or you're going to prison. I knew initially my first answer was no. And after thinking about it, I said, all right. They wanted to have some money for Christmas.
On the night of the robbery, one of them let the others in the back door. And then they walked in with their faces covered, holding a gun, and robbed the cash register.
The heist is a success. No one ever suspects the beloved Carter High football players were involved.
So Saturday morning, the police came in, and my manager introduced me to them and said, this is one of the Carter High football. So we didn't even talk about what happened Friday night. They wanted to know where I was going to school.
Between the adrenaline rush and the $700 payout, the boys are hooked and plan to do it again.
At first, it was just 3 of us. Then we got more of our homeboys involved doing robberies. You had different groups.
But some players, like All-American Jesse Armstead, are unwilling to risk their futures.
He says, no, man, I don't roll like that. I'm not with you guys. Y'all do it on your own.
Jesse Armstead did not get involved because he had been caught shoplifting. And when he saw the hurt on his mother's face, he made the decision that he would never commit another crime. So when the Carter boys came to him and asked him to join, he declined. Jesse was headed to play college football for the Miami Hurricanes, and he actually ended up playing 12 years in the NFL.
Williams soon gets a new job at a Mexican restaurant, the perfect place for another robbery.
We had a couple of our homeboys to go in because we couldn't go in. We thought they would probably recognize us.
They staged a robbery with an employee who works at the restaurant to say, we're going to come in and we'll make it look like we are robbing you. When we stick them up, you just follow our lead, tell us how to get the money, and we'll get it.
This time, the group walks away with $6,000. After one more robbery, they decide to stop. The older the players get. Eventually, they don't even bother to cover their faces.
That's how emboldened they were to just walk in, brazen, and put a gun in somebody's face and say, hey, give me your money.
You point a pistol at somebody, they're going to open the cash register pretty quick. It represents the power that you have over the clerk, especially these Carter robberies. They weren't poor boys, but they got a kick out of these robberies.
Everyone treated them like that they could do no wrong. It's their city. And I know it's hard to believe, but they probably didn't even realize that they were hurting anybody.
It's all fun and games until they are caught. Now it's just a question of what their punishments will be. The arrest of 6 Carter High School football players make headlines all over Dallas. The athletes, along with 4 other area high school students, are charged with a total of 21 armed robberies.
There were some boys from Carter that weren't football players. And there were boys from Hillcrest High School. They had gone to school with the Carter boys in grade school. They all knew each other.
It's impossible to understand how these young men with such bright futures could choose to throw it all away.
This took my family by surprise. My grandmother had to pawn her ring to get me out.
It's like the community rose to cheer these kids. You know, the community flocked to its knees when all of this occurred. It took the wind out of our sails.
All of the teens involved enter guilty pleas. On September 22nd, 1989, they file into a packed Dallas courtroom for sentencing.
We were fearful, frightful, about, our future because we didn't know the judge. Never been in trouble.
Their lawyers thought at first offender, you generally get probation or slap on the wrist.
The judge doesn't show any mercy.
You had witnesses, people who stood there and said, oh, I felt like I was going to die. There was a gun in my face.
I remember him addressing Gary first. It was like, y'all been getting breaks for a while. It ends right here. If stupidity were a crime, y'all deserve a life sentence.
Gary Edwards is sentenced to 16 years. Derek Evans receives 20 years.
The judge wanted to see some remorse. Didn't get a whole lot of that out of Campbell.
I remember him calling me a sociopath and that I scared him. He gave me 25 years.
Continue their ascension as citizen in this country.
But that isn't the end of the story for the Dallas Carter Cowboys. Following the convictions, the league once again appeals the superintendent's grade decision. And this time they win.
The team got the word that, you know what? At the end of the day, you are ineligible. And so that title trophy that you got in 1988 does not count.
They took the state championship away from us, and that was a year later.
It's awarded instead to their opponent, Converse Judson. The rest of the team is devastated.
We took basically the punishment for what happened the year before.
You have, 60 plus players on a team. To be a member of that.
नमस्ते प्यारे दोस्तों, स्वागत है आपका हमारे आज के रंगीन और मजेदार वीडियो में। आज हम रंग भरने जा रहे हैं एक बहुत ही बड़ा, मजबूत और प्यारा जानवर हाथी यानी एलिफेंट। हाथी जंगल का राजा नहीं, पर वह जंगल का सबसे बुद्धिमान और शांत जीव है। तो चलिए अपनी कलर पेंसिल्स, क्रेयॉन्स या मार्कर्स लेकर तैयार हो जाइए और मेरे साथ इस प्यारे हाथी में रंग भरना शुरू करते हैं। सबसे पहले इसकी आउटलाइन को ध्यान से देखिए। इसका शरीर बड़ा है, 4 मजबूत पैर हैं, लंबी सूंड है और 2 बड़े कान हैं। इसकी छोटी सी आंख और लंबे दांत यानी दांतियां, टस्क्स हैं। अब हम धीरे धीरे इसमें रंग भरना शुरू करेंगे। हाथी का रंग आम तौर पर ग्रे धूसर होता है, तो चलिए हल्का ग्रे रंग लीजिए और उसके पूरे शरीर में धीरे धीरे बेस शेड लगाइए। स्ट्रोक्स हमेशा एक दिशा में चलाइए ताकि शरीर पर रंग समान लगे। ध्यान रखिए जहाँ छाया है वहाँ थोड़ा गहरा ग्रे शेड डालिए ताकि गहराई दिखे। अब उसके कानों की ओर बढ़ते हैं। कानों को हल्के ग्रे या हल्के भूरे रंग में रंगिए। अगर आप चाहें तो कान के अंदर वाले हिस्से में हल्का गुलाबी शेड डाल सकते हैं ताकि वह और जीवंत लगे। अब हम उसकी सूंड यानी ट्रंक पर रंग भरेंगे। सूंड पर हल्के गहरे स्ट्रोक्स डालिए ताकि झुर्रियों का प्रभाव दिखे। ऊपर की ओर हल्का ग्रे रखें और नीचे थोड़ा गहरा रंग भरिए ताकि सूंड का आकार उभरे। अब हम आंखों और दांतों की बारी पर आते हैं। आंखों में काला रंग भरिए और बीच में एक छोटा सा सफेद डॉट छोड़ दीजिए ताकि चमक दिखे। दांतों को हल्के क्रीम या ऑफ वाइट रंग से रंगिए और नीचे थोड़ा ग्रे शैडो डालिए ताकि गहराई दिखे। अब पैरों की ओर बढ़िए। पैरों के नीचे के हिस्से में हल्का गहरा ग्रे शेड डालिए ताकि लगे कि वह जमीन पर खड़ा है। अगर चाहें तो पैरों के नाखूनों को हल्का ब्राउन या ऑफ वाइट रंग से रंग सकते हैं। अब हम बैकग्राउंड की ओर बढ़ते हैं। आप चाहें तो हाथी को जंगल या घास के मैदान में दिखा सकते हैं। नीचे की जमीन को हरे रंग से भरिए और आसमान को हल्का नीला रखिए। आप चाहें तो आसपास कुछ पेड़ या पहाड़ भी बना सकते हैं ताकि दृश्य सुंदर लगे। अगर आप चाहें तो हाथी की पीठ पर एक सजावटी कपड़ा यानी सजावट की चादर बना सकते हैं। इसके लिए लाल, पीला या नीला कोई चमकीला रंग लीजिए और उस पर हल्के डिजाइन बनाइए, जैसे गोल डॉट्स या बॉर्डर लाइंस। इससे हाथी राजसी दिखेगा, जैसे किसी त्योहार में जा रहा हो। अब थोड़ा पीछे हटकर पूरी ड्राइंग को ध्यान से देखिए। क्या सभी हिस्सों में रंग समान हैं? अगर कहीं हल्का रह गया है तो धीरे धीरे दोबारा स्ट्रोक्स लगाइए। ध्यान रखिए कि स्ट्रोक्स नरम हो ताकि हाथी की त्वचा का टेक्सचर बना रहे। अब आखिरी टच का समय है। आप चाहें तो हाथी के शरीर पर हल्के सफेद हाइलाइट्स डाल सकते हैं ताकि चमक दिखे। कानों और सूंड पर हल्का ग्रे शैडो दीजिए ताकि यथार्थता बढ़े। और देखिए, अब हमारा प्यारा हाथी तैयार है। वह मजबूत दिख रहा है, शांत लग रहा है और जैसे जंगल में धीरे धीरे चल रहा हो। आपने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है। याद रखिए दोस्तों, रंग भरना सिर्फ एक गतिविधि नहीं है, यह धैर्य और ध्यान सिखाता है। जब आप हर स्ट्रोक के साथ धीरे धीरे सांस लेते हैं तो आपका मन भी शांत हो जाता है। अगर आपको यह वीडियो पसंद आया हो तो लाइक और सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर करें ताकि अगली बार जब हम किसी और जानवर या चित्र में रंग भरें, जैसे शेर, मोर या जिराफ, तो आप हमारे साथ फिर जुड़ सकें। तो दोस्तों, मुस्कुराते रहिए, रचनात्मक रहिए और हमेशा की तरह हैप्पी कलरिंग।